Welcome. My name is Emily M. Chung, and you are listening to Out of Our Shells, a podcast about awesome women, talking about awesome women for awesome women. And today we have Marylen Reid with us. I'm very excited because honestly, I'm not exactly sure what it is that you do. So tell me, how do you spend your day?
Oh, well, actually, they call it a multipotentialite. So it's people who are doing so many things that you can do like one thing / one thing / one thing.
Sounds like me.
So I'm a lawyer / professional cuddler / founder of the Canadian Association of Professional Cuddling / I'm teaching what is called Joygasms / I'm starting something new about trying to build a community for atheists.
Build a community for atheists.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's one of the things that's missing for atheists, honestly, is the community. So how are you going about that?
So what I'm working on is to do something more with humor. So I want to do something like a clowny church. Because I think that there's a lot of things that we can be more or less certain with science and the process of science. But all the rest, because there's so many beliefs that are conflicting, we just can be sure that we don't know. And
That's true.
Since we don't know, as well, taking it with a grain of salt and laughing about it. And still having all the benefit that we can get from institutions and positive psychology, and then doing an event. So there's rituals that I do that, for example, for anger or for gratefulness, and we do a kind of just being silly together.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun. So have you had any gatherings yet, or is this sort of a conception at the moment?
Yes, I had 3 gatherings so far. I'm going to have the next one next week. So it's I'm trying here and there, and it's working well. I'm really happy.
Well. Yeah.
And there's another one that we're doing is a group of people singing that is in a circle, and then each person can go at the same time, not at the same time, one at a time, and then they have like 4 minutes.
Okay.
The first 2 minutes it's by themselves, and then the last 2 minutes people can join in with like improvising with them in whatever they want to show to the group. So those kinds of things.
Fantastic. Is any particular kind of genre when it comes to music, or is just whatever comes out?
I said music. Actually, it's anything. If you want poem, dance, anything you want to present to the group.
Right.
And the group can just join in what you do.
Good. Excellent. Okay, cool. So a lawyer, how did you start with that? Is that something that you did ever since you were a kid, or was it a...
Yes, I was born as a lawyer.
Well, I mean, some people have like a deep felt passion ever since they were a child, and maybe you came across a moment, you're like, no, this is not right, I need to have some justice, and then you wanted to be a lawyer. Who knows, right?
Well, I wish it was that simple. No, did I say I was a multipotentialite? No, I started with a cooking diploma, then I went fine arts, so fine art teaching. I taught French, and then I became a lawyer.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you taught French, is French your first language? Or?
Yes, it is.
Oh, fantastic.
And I taught French when I was in Europe. I taught to diplomats and senior officials who wanted to, it was in Slovenia. I'm trying to work there because when you don't speak a language in a country, it's quite hard to do anything else.
Absolutely. Wait, you were in Slovenia?
I was.
Okay, so where have you lived exactly?
Oh, okay. So I've lived in Montreal, Ljubljana, Slovenia, Sydney, Australia, Ottawa, and Vancouver.
Okay, that's a good mix of places. Do you, of the places, like what would you say is like the one thing about each place that really drew you as a place? Like, why did you go there?
Oh, well, okay. Montreal, I was born there. Oh yeah, I forgot. I lived in Thailand when I was younger.
Ooh.
My family brought me there. Later on, I met what would become my wife, and we became the first same-sex couple married in Slovenia.
Wow!
So I made history there.
Wow, fantastic! Oh, congratulations!
Not easy. I would not recommend.
But somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to pave that way, right? So I'm glad it was you. Yeah.
And then Australia, it's warm. And when I moved to Ottawa was actually I wanted to go into law, and I did not know that LSAT was a thing.
Oh, okay.
And in French, we don't have LSAT. Yeah, so Ottawa was a place where I could learn in French, but also learn common law.
Ah, okay.
And finally, I moved to Vancouver because I call myself a climatic refugee. So, running away from the cold.
Running away from the cold. Yeah, honestly, some of the craziest winds I've experienced in Ottawa, I can totally understand why you'd... I mean, although Vancouver's changing a bit now, too. It's definitely getting, I don't know, colder and hotter in both ends, right? Like everywhere else is. So what kind of lawyer are you then?
Yeah. So, and I just like talking to you. I recognize it looks like I'm all over the map, literally and figuratively. And I do a little bit and then change. And so there's some order in my chaos. So yeah, what type of lawyer? I am refugee and child protection.
Refugee and child protection. Yes. Wow. Okay. So do you still work in that actively then?
Yes.
Is it? Wow. Okay. And how much time does that take up of your day, for example? Yeah,
so you asked me like a normal day. So, and for me, my time is quite variable. So it's when I go to court that's more fixed. My calendar is people can my calendar people can book in, and then I look into it. So usually I can go to court, I come back, I work, try to do my files, and I'm stressed out. I go for cuddle because there's a cuddle client that is there, and then I go back more relaxed and I can continue in my law. And then I'm running for an event that I planned. That's about my days.
Wow. Okay. So what exactly does child protection services? What does that mean exactly? Are you working with children who need help specifically in a situation, or are they traumatized? Like what kind of children are you working with?
I never work with children.
Oh, you work with their parents?
Yes, I'm defending the parents that when the government wants to remove their children, oftentimes for neglect, drug addiction, alcohol, violence, those kinds of things.
So you're working to protect the parents so that they can keep their children? Okay. Do you get to choose your cases, or is it a matter of whoever comes across your desk?
I'm currently taking any cases, and I think I'm going to stop doing that. All right. I'm quite resilient, and I have a strong emotional health, but at some point, they're difficult clients.
I can't even imagine. Okay.
Especially... and this is something, like, I'm learning a lot from all the different jobs I'm having. And this is the central point that is common to all my things is curiosity. I'm such a curious person.
Me too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's really following what I'm curious about and learning. And what I've learned from child protection is that immediately from the get-go which parents will be able to get their children back and which will not. And it's how much they're blaming any other people or themselves.
Right.
And if it's themselves, they will take the steps to get better. And if it's anyone else, they will be angry, they won't do anything, and they won't get better. And the thing is with them, because they're blaming anyone else when they lose, of course they're blaming me.
Right, of course.
That's the beauty.
Oh, that's tricky. That's it. So how did you get into that specific kind of law? What drew you to that versus other kinds of law? Because there's just so many.
Oh, that's a long question to answer. I was working for the government, and they were saying my English was not good enough. So basically, they recommend I would be not allowed to work in British Columbia.
Oh.
So it's not necessarily a nice story. And in child protection, it's less formal. Okay. So it was more for practical reasons.
Right.
And it was also according to things that I do care about, like defending people. So it was because I needed to and because I wanted to.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What's something that you've really learned from being a child protections lawyer? For yourself, like for your own personal life?
Yeah, as I said, so not blaming, taking responsibility for the things that doesn't work. And also like drug addiction, how people think addiction is an on or off switch. And it's not like, it's so sad sometimes to talk to our parents and they're like, no, it's recreational. I can stop at any time. It's like, okay, well, do it. Now's the time. And then they find out at that point that they can't. And so that's why to all the people who are taking drugs recreationally, I give the message is like, once in a while, like at least every year, stop for a full month to take anything. And if you find it hard, it's because you're already on the spectrum of addiction. So
cut back. Yeah. That's definitely something. So wise words, wise words to be learned for sure. So then, from lawyer to cuddling, how did that step happen?
And if I may just also say what I've learned from refugee, because I think that this is one place that I love to work, and there's no money there, but I love to work there because it reminds me every day how we're so lucky, every person in Canada. And I wanted to say that here in this podcast for people, like, if you have a chance, go and have a friend. Like, refugees have a tough time to get integrated in here, so hang with them and they will teach you how you're lucky and how you should be happier. And for me, that's why it's so essential in my life to have that practice for reminders and to be grateful.
Do you work with refugees from all over the place, or what kinds of?
Yes, of course, there's more of some countries than others. Usually when the people from Burundi, they're sent to me because they speak French. Of course, there's Syria, there's all the same, Afghanistan. But a lot of from Mexico too, because it doesn't require the same amount of visa. So there's a lot of people from South American countries who are trying.
Interesting. It's when I was living in Vienna, there was the whole Syrian refugee, like it was just a huge wave of people. But it was interesting because living in Vienna, you never really felt it, even though 300 kilometers away was a huge center for refugees. And I feel being in Canada as well, you don't really feel it. So how many people go through your office on a regular basis? Is it a lot, or?
No, well, as you may guess, for me to have all those slashes of jobs,
you only have a certain amount of time to work with certain amount of people.
And so you asked me how I got to cuddling, and it was to have a balance in my life. I would not want to work with. And maybe it's the field, like child protection and refugee is really heavy. So, and I was seeing myself getting, in every field of law, you see always the flaws. You always see, like, the bad things. And I think that one of my goals in life is not only to be happy, but to spread happiness. And law is not the best tool for that.
Well, for the people that you're working with, it's very important, right? But in a general sort of sense,
especially like for the brain mindset. So for me, cuddling is something important because it puts me in the mindset of trying to find the nicest things about the people, to really feel a connection and affection and being supportive. So it's making me a better person. And how I got into that. So when we were in law school, you may have heard that it can be stressful.
Only very slightly.
And my friends were not affectionate. So some stereotypes about lawyers not being affectionate are real.
It's the truth.
It's true. So, and at that point, I tried to find online, like, I'm looking for a cuddle partner, no sex, just cuddling. And it was not the best experience. Hashtag Me Too movement, some more or less things there. And so I was thinking if only, like, there was this service that would exist. And then I got like, eureka moment. I need to create that service. I need to do it. And then I spent like a full night without sleeping, writing like business plans. And so my friend told me, like, you should quit law and just go there. And I thought, like, I did some research. No one ever done it before. And I'm like, no one ever done it. I have my time in front of me. I'll finish my school. And then 6 months later, someone did it. So a little bit more and I would have been the first one. But Yeah, the first one was excellent, so she did very good. Yeah. Very well. So I started like slowly on the side, and after I passed my bar, that's when I started the first cuddling company in Canada. So I had contractors all around the country, and
really? Oh, okay. So this isn't just you. This is you've got like employees who also do this as well.
I had 5 interviewers for me, and about 16 contractors at some point.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And there was more than 1,500 people who applied to become cuddlers.
Really?
Yeah.
I never would have. I mean, I guess it sounds like a lot of fun.
When you have good clients, it's the best job ever. Like recently, 2 days ago, like sometimes I have clients even late at night, and it was 11 o'clock after 2 hours cuddling, and I'm like, oh, would you be a dear and just close the door behind you and leave? And I'm like, isn't it the best job when you can just close your eyes and continue sleeping?
Absolutely, that sounds fantastic.
So when the clients are great, it's the best job. When they're not great, you understand why it's a job.
So how long ago was that you started the cuddling as a business?
I started informally in 2010.
Okay.
And the cuddling business was in 2014.
Okay, so 5 years then now?
Yes. And then I switched to, there was a thing that happened, like a competitor that came in that was not ethical and very cheap. And so, and admin is not my forte, is not what I love in life. So I switched all of my structure into an association, so Canadian Association for Professional Cuddlers. And there's the minimum fees for people if they want just to subscribe. At least they have a window. They have a place where it's like a safety guide. It's more, there's their ID that they give. So if it also protects clients, because if there's a complaint, they can like at least call and there's something that can be done. So it's a safer way that if it's an anonymous website.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. So do you still have people working for you then across the country, or no? Okay. No. So it's scaled back then a little bit, but well, it's still nice. So what kind of services do you offer as a professional cuddler?
Okay, so I'm usually cuddling. They offer more just cuddling, but as you may guess from knowing me for already this interview, I'm opening that a little bit up. So yes, there's this, usually it's 1 hour, and people come for affection, well-being, support. So usually it's mostly cuddling and people who want to cry on your shoulder. So that's the gist of it. I'm going a little bit above that and beyond. I offer what I call sensory experience. So instead of sensory deprivation tank, it's the contrary. So music, scent, and then so there's dance that I do. There's different tools like sensation to scratch to that the person just feels in his body. Like I think meditation often focus on breath, and it's okay. But cuddles and touch is much nicer to focus on.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. Yeah.
So to be in the moment is really great, to just like drop in your body and feels like, oh, how does it feel? Oh, what is that? Oh, and being surprised by different sensations. And I think we don't do that often, like experiencing touch.
No, exactly. That's lovely. Because I mean, definitely with my work as a yoga instructor, being in your body is something that takes a lot of work for a lot of people. Some people it comes naturally, and then other people you really need to focus and be aware. And so having somebody give you those experiences so that you can really hone in on that without having to do it yourself I think that's fantastic and definitely easier. You said that you're referring to clients as he. Are they generally male, or are they?
Most of them.
Okay.
When I started the business, I thought that most would be women because you always hear that women want affection and men want sex. And apparently not. Men find it very difficult, especially in Vancouver, like the dating world. And if they want cuddles or hugs, it's much harder for them to get.
Yeah.
And I think like women, and this is what I got from people around me, they can have touch easily. But I think they got in the same, like they can try to get touch in a way, but it doesn't really reflect their needs. So some of them will go in a bar or call an ex and try to find someone and they sleep with them. And then they want to have some cuddles out of it or some affection, but they feel like it's not working.
Right.
So I think it would be really empowering for women to start using that service. Like the women who do use it, they feel really great about it. Some women use it for getting back in contact with touch after being sexually abused. So it's definitely a service for women as well. But currently it's mostly for men.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you hear a lot about in today's society how, this sort of toxic masculinity and the fact that men can't get touch, like that kind of non-sexual touch from their friends, from the male friends, and so they close down and this kind of thing. Is that what you've experienced speaking with your clients, or is it?
What my clients tells me about how they feel afterwards, it's really what keeps me going in that job. One that was cute, he told me that his whole office thanked me. Like, they did not know it was me, but they said, whatever you're doing, continue. Because he was the boss and he was always, like, angry. And then he became, like, suddenly all happy and calm. And
that's so lovely. Yeah.
Or some people tell me, that they felt human again. A lot of positive comments, so it warms my heart. But to continue on the question you asked before, also what I'm offering.
Yeah.
I'm offering what I call the otherworld experience. So this is for people who wants to try different drugs, especially for people who, with marijuana being accepted now, there's some people who tried for the first time by themselves and they get anxious, and then it's
a thing.
It's a thing. So what better than a cuddler to take care of you as your babysitter?
Yeah.
So, and I love to do that, like especially people in MDMA experience for their first time and being witnessed of their happiest moment of their lives.
Yeah.
That's such a... It's better than court.
Only slightly. But it's a different experience, right? And you're still leading somebody through a difficult time and getting it better get a place from it. Which is
when
nice.
I said it's better, I love the balance.
Yeah.
That's why I do so many things. Is I love variety. I love the balance. If I would be only with people taking MDMA for the first time, I would be, please save me from that.
It's too much of anything, and I think it gets, and that's what I would like to. I mean, for myself as well, right? I've been a professional classical singer, have been for my entire life, and it wasn't until I moved to Europe that I realized I want to do other things. I became a waxer, and I learned yoga. Like I did teaching yoga. I've been a life drawing model for the past 15 years, and it's this variety of things that really brings out the joy in my life. I get to speak to different kinds of people and not just one kind of people who are in one. I mean, some people, they do one thing and they're passionate about it and they just want to do that one thing, and that's great. And if you have that, then fantastic. But it's no longer really a requirement anymore in life. So many people have a bunch of different things that they do, and it's a nice balance, I think. Especially too because you get to meet all these different people and talk about different things, and makes life more interesting. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. So lawyer, cuddling, all those sorts of things. So how?
There's another one that you forgot.
Please. Tell me again.
Teaching joygasms.
Oh, that's right. Joygasms. How can you possibly forget that? I just learned a really wonderful word the other day. The joy friend instead of a boyfriend, or if so for people of transgendered in the transgender community having a joy friend instead. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Joy friend, that. Great. But Joygasms, please go on about it.
So I found a way to hijack my brain to be able to have orgasms based on light sensations or intense emotions.
Wow.
And I'm teaching that to people, and it's working much better than I expected. So for me, it's been 15 years I'm on it. So
yeah.
But people already in a 30-minute session of teaching, like there's 10% of them that got it afterwards.
Wow.
And there's about 20% who calls me afterwards and say, hey, I succeeded. So, and just for a 30-minute session. So can you imagine?
That's nothing. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. So I'm like, I think I'm onto something. And not only that, I'm very introspective. So I know all the steps that I did to get to there. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay. So you need to, not that you need to lead me through a joygasm right now, but although I may call you up afterwards. But so what exactly, so how does one have a joygasm, just in a sort of general sense?
Okay. I can tell you the steps to get there.
Oh, sure.
And I can tell you, so first I did some EEG to know what was in my brain. So that was a fun experience to be in the hospital for that. Anyway, the steps to go is first you have to know that it exists.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, if you've ever done Vipassana meditation, it's the 3/4 is just there. And for me, I'm like, you just need to have the last
that
step.
extra little
so,
step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first step is to know that it can exist, that it can be done, and to believe that it can be done to you, like you can have that. The second step is to imagine it, so visualizing it. The third step is to really try to put yourself into that mindset and mentality and saying, oh, I'm so happy right now. If I would have an orgasm, now would be it.
Yeah.
And then,
and then you
waited.
wait.
And then sometimes you're like, oh, was that a little bit different? No.
Yeah.
And then with time, it's like, oh, I think I got something. And then I was faking it. And at the end, you're like, you have them, and you're like, no, that's not faking. I have them. For example, sometimes I wake up in my dreams when I have good dreams by an orgasm. I joygasmed, like it was like, oh my God, that was because I was flying and I was in space. And
Yeah. Actually, to be quite honest, I may have had a very similar experience that you describe. Just recently, I was in Taiwan, traveling by myself for the first time. And I'm very lucky that my singing career has taken me so many places. I've seen over 31 different countries, and most of it has been through my work. But this is the very first time where I actually decided, okay, I'm going to take a week. I'm going to do it by myself. And I'm really happy that I spoke with a friend beforehand who said to me, you know what? You may not like it. Everybody says, it's a good, that they really enjoy it, but have that option in your brain that you may be like, no, I just really like being around people, and because I do like being around people, and you just might not like it. It's just a week, it's fine. So, but I did really like it. I got to say that. But I went hiking in the middle of Taiwan, and I went just to see this tree, and I went and I saw this tree, and I looked up, and it had just finished raining, and the sun had just come out, and so there was water dripping off of these leaves, and I'm up, like, staring up at this tree, and I'm just like, and it was so beautiful with the sunlight coming through the leaves and the rain coming down to my face from, like, hundreds of feet up, that I just sat there and just laughed, like uncontrollable laughter, joy, laughing for, probably about at least 5 minutes. So I feel like those kind of, I could see how that would happen, like how it could work.
And if I may just so usually people get it easier through like associating first with genitals, and then when I say it's really similar to Vipassana, is you feel the vibrations in your body. So if it's the vibration just before having an orgasm, or the vibration in your heart of a strong emotion, so that's what I usually feel in the happiness, is the vibration and the yummy feeling.
So interesting. I just have you read a book called Come As You Are?
Nope.
For all of our readers out there, for all listeners out there, honestly, it was suggested to me by a couple of girlfriends from different areas of my life. It's written by Emily Nagoski. Emily, very good name. It's been really interesting. It kind of opened me up to a different way to look at sex and orgasm. And she's a scientist, and she basically gathered all of the scientific information on cisgendered female bodies that's currently around and compressed it into a very readable book talking about the dual control method and all these sorts of things. And highly recommended.
Perfect.
Highly recommended. It's very interesting to see sort of the scientific stuff that has happened so far, and brakes and accelerators she talks about, and anyway, I can go on about it for a while, but I think those kinds of realizations for me for this trip also allowed me to have a much more joyful experience while I was there. But
so I think what I've learned from that, my best guess would be that it's very related to self-hypnotism. And you create a neural pathways that becomes real after a while. And so that's, I see it a little bit like the Pavlov dog. You associate things. And I even started to associate like high intensity emotions. So at first it was love, it was lust, and then it became laughter, and then it became stress, and it became embarrassment and fear, and it's like, oh, I can do that with everything.
Oh, wow.
So it solved my I started panic attacks at some point, and it solved them. When you have orgasm out of a panic attack, it's like you're good afterwards.
That would be an excellent way to end a panic attack for sure. Okay. My goodness. Okay, so have you had a lot of clients with your Joygasm work so far, or is it sort of just fresh for you?
Oh, it's fresh. So I've given maybe 10 workshops so far, and it's here and there that I talk to different people. There were some a transgender person after their operation that they couldn't feel anything anymore, and after they saw me less than a month afterwards, they could have orgasms again. So that was really nice. Men, like a lot of people think that it's just for women, but men are better than women so far. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I've been surprised, but the best people that I've seen were men who got it like the quickest.
Really? I guess it's more in hand. Yeah, okay, cool.
It's just by the power of the brain.
The power of the brain,
exactly.
Exactly. Well, that's good. Cool. So having all these different things in your life, how is that?
I have another one afterwards.
You do. What's the other one? Please tell me the other one. I love this so much. So many fun things.
No, the other one I want to do, and it's a little bit similar like with the atheist community.
Oh, yeah.
That I started doing was celebrating weddings. Oh. But as in a different way. So a little bit like emceeing. I've done that for 3 people so far. And it's like, okay, what do you like in Star Wars or whatever? Like, and I'm doing on something that is catered for them in a kind of ridiculous way. Okay. And when I was talking to you about the atheist church, like a little bit clowny way, so this is a kind of celebration. So I got my spaghetti monster officiating certificate.
I got a couple friends who have done that. Yeah.
But it can be any fake cult, religion, or anything that you want. Oh, I want this TV show, and I'm gonna do like something special for you. So yeah.
Oh, fun.
So for example, there was one of my friends. He was a charity worker, and what I did for him was we did a fundraising.
Okay.
At his wedding that we did. All the like different dares, different activities that people were bidding on that they had to do in front of everyone.
What was the most interesting one? Now I'm curious.
They had to leap as a frog. They had to try to lick their own elbows.
Okay.
They
Is that possible? Not gonna happen.
But some of them were complaining they never had enough time with them, so it was just like an evening that they had them to do anything they wanted. So those kinds of things.
That's very nice. Yeah. I'm curious what my wedding's gonna look like.
Well, you know who to call.
Yeah, exactly. Currently, it's jumping off of a cliff or maybe doing some skydiving. But I said to my partner, I'm not going to skydive in a wedding dress unless I've skydived before.
Could be interesting. You won't see much. But
yeah, exactly. Just like skirting your face. But that would not be the best. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's a ways in advance yet. But
my own wedding, we went canoe camping, and we were in the canoe with 2 wedding dresses. And
really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
with
sweet.
styrofoams and under a waterfall. So really lovely.
Yeah. Okay, interesting then. How does your wife feel about the cuddling?
Oh, we're divorced a long time
Oh,
ago.
okay. Okay.
A long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's no longer an issue.
No.
Okay.
No. I can thank her for how I got to needing my brain to get 2 orgasms at some point. So.
Oh, I see. Well, good life lessons for sure.
So for my partners so far, they have been very open to, but I think, of course, because I'm doing it, if they would not be my partners.
Exactly. I think it's different if you come into a relationship already knowing that it's there, right? It's just a part of who you are versus having it develop as it does within a relationship. Different kinds of aspects to it. Cool.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like? I mean, you said that your cuddling clients, the friends of your cuddling clients, have thanked you indirectly for what it is that you're doing. What other ways do you feel like you have been giving back to the community as far as how your jobs and things have worked out?
That's a good question. Oh, that's so funny. I did not even tell you about my last project. When I'm with a cuddler, a cuddly, I really try to be there for them in whatever needs they have. And one of my passion is human beings. So I've read so much about it, and so whenever there's someone, I also try to guide them if they need to. I tell them like I don't have a certification, but so I also help them in different ways in their lives. So there's 3 people who told me I saved their lives. And I know that they have taught me also a lot. Like when I say from different law thing, what I've learned. One of my cuddly, I taught him the Joygasm thing, and he taught me his superpower. Oh. So he is able to go on a kind of MDMA state naturally. Oh. So he's teaching it, and I've succeeded so far, like 2-3 times.
Wow.
So yeah, there's really a lot of giving in both directions. So the thing that I was gonna say is that some of them they encouraged me into starting some counseling because they said that I was better than their own counselor. So that's my real new project.
Right.
Like a lot of them are more like dabbling here and there, but this one I want to really go for it, more into it. This would be to be counselor, mostly for lawyers. But counselors for any analytical people.
Analytical people.
So oftentimes people, I say your brain, a lot of people say you have an inner critic. And I call that person their inner prosecutor. And then usually you have the judge that is supposed to say, yeah, you have a point or no. And usually people, their judges in their mind are not good. Their defense lawyer is not good. So a good defense lawyer should be like, objection, the prosecutor is talking way too much, or his evidence are not good. And people are not doing that. So is really... and this is my career in law, helped me like saying, no, what you just said, this is not true. Do you want us to go together and see like the false thoughts? And this is really CBD, trying to what are the false thoughts? How can you find a way that it's more balanced? And so I educate people to be a better defense lawyer for themselves and to be a better judge, like trying to give, to weigh the evidence on both sides, for example.
How are you hoping, are you going to take some sort of formal schooling or just...
So I already started here and there with people who were interested. But yeah, I'm thinking about having formal schooling. Unfortunately, just for the paper, because I've read so much and I have enough of them. But we're in a society that people don't believe that what you're doing is good.
Unless you have a formal paper. It's very true,
So I believe that I already capable of doing it. But yeah, maybe the paper. And which, it's a part that I forgot to mention, but it's also important. I'm helping people with emotional meditation. So this is the analytical side. But there's also the emotional side. So, for example, my Joygasms, the reason I got them is really, really similar to Buddhism and meditation. It's being able to feel the sensation just for the sensations. And then you have anxiety and it's like, oh, how does it feel in my body? Oh, okay, it pinches here and so on. Oh, okay. And so yeah, I help them also with that. Basically, if I may say, I consider myself, and this is my ultimate dream, would be to have an office that is very much like integral or holistic. People come and those are my needs. And we approach with that person, how can I help that person the best way?
Right.
And I have sufficient tools.
All the tools.
I have enough wisdom, tools, and whatever to help them in the best way that I believe possible and in the way that they want.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful plan. Have you had any mentors, any female mentors over the course of your life that maybe pointed you in specific directions?
This is where I've been really bad in my life, is not having mentors. And definitely I strongly suggest it to people.
Well, perhaps you could be a mentor for somebody. That's one way to
perhaps.
do it. Just bypass and go straight into the... I mean, you certainly have enough skills, like we mentioned. Cool. Well, I think that's wonderful. I think you've got, like I said, so many wonderful skills and things that you're doing, and it brings you joy, and that's fantastic, and that's what life is about, as well as helping other people, which is great. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, actually, if I may say, I don't know how long you have still, but I think that we have to choose in our life, and it depends what you want. And for me, I chose pleasure, fun, excitement, curiosity, meaning, and it has a price. And the price for me is, yes, having so many things rolling around in your life, there's more stress going around. And no, you cannot. So for me, I gave up on family. So for me, and it's understanding that when you make a choice and you look around, if you decided to be different and you do your life differently, is every time you feel like, oh, people have that in their lives. It's like, yeah, and it's fine. So remembering that you have to choose sometimes. And this is an exciting life, but it's a difficult one. When you try to be the first one doing that, when you try to follow your passion when things are just blurry and things is like, and people look at you and it's like, what are you doing? And it's like living something different.
Something different, absolutely, yeah.
But it has to be a conscious choice.
It has to be a conscious choice. So you specifically chose that you did not want to have a family, or?
Yes, I have. Sometimes I'm thinking like maybe I would have changed my mind if something had happened, but the type of life I have is not compatible with having a family. So I would have needed to give up on so many things. So it's a choice. But I think that it's important that people know that. Oh, and Yeah, I don't know if I can just add also my last dream. I'm currently wanting to put all together into one kind of unique project. And the last project I can talk to you if you allow me.
Please, absolutely. We have no time frame there.
I've realized, and this comes with my atheist community and so on, and I've looked and I've done a lot of research, and it seems to me that there's so many beliefs that pops up here and there, and they're not backed by science or some, and currently people are not happy anymore with the main religions because they don't. You look closer into them, and you need to justify so much to make them work. And so I think that now it's a really great time to bring together to where do we want to go from there,
right?
And having a common vision. So I'm also in a group called Effective Altruism, which is if you want to do good in the world, how can you do it in the better way?
Okay.
And I highly recommend if you want to really do the good in the world and not just for the fuzzy feeling, go see Effective Altruism.
Okay.
And so I want to apply for a grant probably, but having a challenge of everyone if they can bring a plan, like a century-long plan on how to create the system of belief that would bring people together, that would be the most probable to cause the best outcome for the most sentient beings. So, and then more people, and one of the criteria is like, what it needs to be, what if the most people would believe in it, it would be the most likely to happen.
Right.
So it's a coordination problems that we have oftentimes, and a belief system could help. And so, yeah, this is my little baby, my last little baby, if I can say.
Effective Altruism.
Effective Altruism is a group. I'm not sure if they're going to be okay with my project. Usually they're really, this is the best way and this is based on science. For me, is a little bit more about hope in the future. So, I would need to submit it through them or finding other people that could be interested in that. But I really believe that this could be a game changer for the future. And it's not only, it's not about, of course I have an idea. But I think that human beings were stronger if we cooperate. And so we need to bring what is the best idea and that all the people try to push it together and trying to make it happen. So,
Fantastic. For the bigger, better world in general and all the joygasms possible.
If you're not lost, you can try to go on my website. That is not completed yet so far. Actually, what is the name of it? There is www.joygasms.com. Okay. And so this is one that will happen. The cuddling one is www.professionalcuddlers.org. There is, and the one that will have all those ideas under one roof, I believe will be called with Sensa or something like that. I don't remember the title. Your Sensa is my pseudonym.
Your pseudonym, right.
It's for sensations when I had my joygasms.
Right.
And it's also for the feminine of sensei. Because I believe that's what I am. I went as an art teacher because I love teaching. I love, So.
And you've certainly taught me a lot, even over the course of this little time that we've had together. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Marylen, for coming on Out of Our Shells. Definitely Out of Our Shells is something that that 100% encapsulates you, which I think is fantastic. Thank you very much for listening, and we shall see you the next time. Bye.